It's just,
Okay, everybody, welcome to the Town of Pownal Select Board Meeting, January 13th at 7 PM. We need to call to order, approval of agenda, approval of minutes of January 5th, Select Board Special Meeting, warrants, correspondence, old business, Northern Trail Rail Service, Stormwater Master Plan, Pownal Rescue Squad, Planning Commission Board members, property cleanup questionnaires, CAT TV, public comment, executive session personnel, and adjourn. Can I entertain a motion?
I'd like to have some amendments to the agenda, please.
Okay,
Additions, actually. Under old business, I'd like to add the kennel.
okay,
I'd like to add, under ARPA funding,
okay,
and I'd like to add, a budget meeting date. We need to set a budget meeting date. I believe one more
okay.
work session.
All right, anything else?
Joel, we don't have some of the things that you were coming in for on this. We need to add the road on this agenda. Cause it's not totally under your storm wastewater.
No.
So we
I
need-
just had a couple things, road business, I guess.
Yep, so we need to add road business.
Why don't we put that right under stormwater? So that way Joel can finish and go.
What's,
Or do you want to put it somewhere else?
well, you're here for the storm wastewater plan, right? The master plan. Okay.
We
I was just-
also moved the rescue squad first. They're in here. Becky Levine is here. They have another
So-
meeting later.
We can put her after, we can put her before correspondence, I guess, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. All right, so we're gonna move Pownal Rescue Squad up to
Right after warrants.
4B.
I was just thinking if Joel wasn't here for the stormwater master plan, we can move him, but if he's gonna be here, we can put him right after that.
So just put,
Road
Road
business.
foreman, yeah.
Yeah, road business.
All right, so road business is under stormwater.
yep.
Is that all right, Joel?
Is that okay, Jill? Yeah. All right. Any other changes? All right, so can I entertain a motion?
Move to approve the agenda with the amendments and the additions.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. Approval of minutes of January 5th, Select Board Special Meeting.
Move to approve the minutes of January 5th.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Abstained? Warrants.
I believe I'm in one of those.
Yes, you are. I got you right here.
Okay.
Accounts payable for 12/27 for $4,727. Accounts payable for 12/30 for $22,479.29. Accounts payable for $19,224.99. Accounts payable 1/12/22 for $50,652.50. Can I please entertain a motion?
Move to approve the warrants for accounts payable.
Can I have
For
a
the,
second?
mentioned dates.
Sorry. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
I just want to make sure we.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, payroll. 12/30/21 for $11,112.01. Can I entertain a motion?
Is that the
We
one-
should do them
Is
separately.
that the one I'm in?
No, you're not in this
I'll
one.
move to approve that payroll warrant.
Second it.
Any discussion?
I didn't remember which one.
All those are in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Payroll for 7/1/7/22
Yep.
for $10,334.54. Mike, you are in this one.
That's what I thought.
So can I entertain a motion?
So move.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Abstain?
Abstain.
Thank you. Payroll 1/9/22 for $10,448.50. Can I entertain a motion?
So moved.
Second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, so now we're gonna bring up Becky Levin from Pownal Rescue Squad. Please let her in, Megan.
Hello.
Hi, Becky, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Would you like to start?
Sure.
Okay,
So we just wanted to meet with you guys. In the past, up until this year, the town has covered our workman's comp insurance. Last year, there was a bit of a question whether the town would continue to cover it. We worked with Linda for quite a bit, and something happened, and it was covered. And this year, we worked with him a little bit, and due to the fact that we're not a full volunteer service anymore, we were told that your the workman's comp that you have will not continue to cover us for that reason, and also because we don't have any other policies with them. So as of the first of the year, we had to get our own workman's comp insurance, which is quoted for this year at $18,000. So we were trying to see if it was something the town would continue to pay for, or a portion of it, because that's a pretty large bill on our end that we haven't had to pay in the past. And we did meet with Tim about 2 weeks ago, I think. And you guys were only paying like $1,200 for a workman's comp policy for us, which if anyone was injured, it wouldn't have even covered anything. So we're just coming to the town to see if it was something that that portion of the bill or some portion of it could be assisted with us.
so how many volunteer hours do you cover right now?
So it depends week to week. We had to 3-4 years ago, we switched over to paid staff, but we do have volunteers still, myself, Mark, and a couple other people who are considered volunteers when we're not there during the day, or when we're responding from home at night. So volunteer hours kind of depends week to week.
Like, what's an average?
Uh,
You want to say 5 hours, 10 hours?
Between all of us, I'd say probably 40 hours of volunteer time a week.
Okay, and what do you pay out in payroll a year?
Payroll a year, last year, ours was almost 300,000.
And for the paid portion of this, you also cover Bennington, other counties, correct? Williamstown, Mass? when
Yes,
needed?
on mutual aid basis.
Yep. Okay, Mike, do you have a question?
I got some questions, Beck.
Sure.
Is Pownal Rescue Squad right now providing 24/7 coverage to the town of Pownal?
Yes. 24/7, 365, somebody is always on.
Pownal Rescue Squad is able to cover the town of Pownal 24/7, 365?
Yes.
How are you guys doing that when you're doing transports to Albany or Dartmouth or wherever
So-
they happen to be?
We have an on-call crew for those days that we take transfers. So what that does is, so if Mark and I are the crew on duty at night or during the day, and the transfer comes in from the hospital to a different facility, we call, if there's somebody on call, we call them in to cover town or take the transfer. The town is never left unattended unless we're transporting and we only have one crew. So if you call for the ambulance, we come pick you up, and another call comes in during that time, there may be a time where we call mutual aid. Last year, we only gave up 11 calls to other agencies, and that was only because we were on other calls. It was never because we were not staffed.
When you say you're on other calls, you mean you were on other calls in the town of Pownal or on other
It
calls?
could have been
in
either, without-
general total.
In general, yeah, without looking at, I do have a spreadsheet.
Right, no,
and stuff
I'm
with-
sure you do. I'm just,
Yeah.
So out of those 11 calls that you weren't able to respond to last year, it wasn't necessarily that you were on another call in the town of Pownal. It could have been doing a transfer to Dartmouth or Boston or whatever.
Nope. It would have never been that the town was left unattended because we took a transfer.
What would those conditions have been back?
It would have been that we were already on a call, a 911 call, not a transfer. We would never.
Okay, so you were on a 911 call, but it could have been a 911 call to the town of Bennington.
Right, could have been a mutual aid.
Correct, yes.
Okay. So in the money that you're asking for, seeing that you guys are now providing services to towns outside of Pownal, are you asking Bennington, Shasta, wherever you are providing service, are you asking them to cover part of your workman's comp?
We have not.
Okay.
This was all sprung up on us in the end of November.
No, I get it. I get it back. I understand.
I know.
I'm just trying, what I'm trying to do, Becky, is I'm trying to head off questions that are good, that potentially in my mind can come up or will come up, not just from the board, but will come up from the general public. I'm trying to get ahead of it. That's all.
Absolutely.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, I think that's all I had.
Jamie,
Pretty much covers what we're talking about.
Ronnie? None? Okay. So.
Becky, what did we pay? What did the town give you last year or the previous years for workman's comp?
$1,200.
Yeah, it was either
I think it was like
1,000,
12 or 1,400 if I remember correctly from talking to Tim. We never even saw a bill. It went directly to you guys.
Oh, okay.
But we don't cover anything else. Like we don't cover any fire departments or anything like that.
No.
Up
And
until last year.
since they went to pay, that's why this came up.
Right, but I want to correct your statement first, though, is before we have a workman's comp policy for the firefighters and them at the time. It was a collective one.
At the time altogether.
Right.
Yeah, I think the town, dating back when I was involved in the fire department, there was a big argument over that years and years and years ago that about the workman's comp, and the town did historically for the fire department. I can't speak for the rescue squad because I was never involved there. But historically, the town paid workman's comp for the fire department. But I don't know what the total was. I have no clue. I really don't know. And I can't speak for the rescue squad because I was never involved in that. But I just remember huge battles over that back and forth.
Well, I know the first year when I became a member here, that was one of the subjects that came up, and that's why I know we got a policy encapsulating all volunteer organizations that for municipal services for the town. So.
Okay. Don't you have a petition out there to ask the taxpayers?
We took that down because it was filled out incorrectly and to begin with, and then we were just informed about that, and so we took it down at the beginning of this week.
But don't you still have time to correct it?
No, yes, but the 18th is the deadline. 13th or today was the deadline.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. I'm sorry.
Yep. Nope. That's okay.
So what you're asking us, Becky, is to approve
Paying this $18,000?
paying $18,000? Is that what you guys are here for?
Yes.
Okay. Just so I'm clear, because I was unclear actually before that.
I don't want to sound cold. I really don't. But I think if you're paying payroll of over $200,000
300.
or 300,000, excuse me, that you're responsible pretty much for the workman's comp.
That's usually part of a business.
That's part of a business. And as far as I'm concerned, since you have such a large payroll, you're a business now, unfortunately. And so that goes with the business part of it. I mean, I will always support you guys and I will always give donations and do whatever I can. But I find it hard to swallow going from $1,200 to $18,000 of taxpayers' money. That's why I was looking for the petition to go on the ballot. And then the people can decide.
Right. So, I mean, before when you guys were covering it for the $1,200 or whatever it was, there wasn't full coverage for the town. Now we are covering and providing coverage 24/7. And in order, we've got to face it now, volunteerism isn't something that people do anymore. So in order for us to be able to staff the town the way that we do, we had to move to paid. There was no other option.
And I understand that.
People don't want to do the training.
So what is the board's pleasure?
I need to have more information before I form an opinion one way or the other. I don't have an opinion right now. But I'm gonna need some more information for sure.
So we can include that discussion in a special session, in a special budget session. I think we can do that.
As long as we warn it in that, as long as we warn it in our budget session, in that special meeting,
Yep.
we could do that. And I think that when we talk about that under old business, I think that we should add that rescue squad into that budget meeting.
Yeah,
that
and just
special
a general comment is that, we are as a board wanting to take a hard look at our budget and see what we can do to return more to the taxpayers.
Yes.
It makes it hard when we're heading in the upward direction.
You came at a bad time back.
We were actually looking for cuts, not for increases. I do believe that I think they did put out that today was the last day for the
It was.
for the petitions.
I thought it was 18th.
Okay. So, Becky, we're going to put you on for our special budget meeting and we'll make sure that Megan contacts you so you guys can be involved, okay?
Absolutely. And if you guys need any paperwork, numbers, whatever, just let us know.
What would you like from
I
more information? Like,
I got to think about it a little bit.
Okay.
And I really do, of what exactly I want, because I don't want to make them go on a fishing mission, so to speak.
right.
Okay. But I need a little bit more time to digest and I just need a little more time to digest it. Because as Bob stated, we're going to have a budget work session, and because I don't think anyone sitting here is comfortable with
Adding 18.
what we came up with for a budget and
Right.
okay,
Adding more money.
and then adding another 18, but I also, I've been on that volunteer end, for 30 something years. Okay. I know that it was dying when I got out. I get it. I totally get it. So, I have mixed feelings here for sure. I have my heart saying one thing and then my head saying another. So,
Absolutely.
I need to,
We all support you.
I need
We
to
all
digest
support you.
it myself personally.
No, we understand that.
Yeah.
What's the,
I'll get Megan to reach out to you, Becky, with what I would like. I think all of us would do that. What I'd like to see at that next time we meet with you guys on whatever date we choose after we're done talking with you and move down our agenda. Is that fair enough?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Okay.
one question is, what percentage of volunteer hours per year versus paid?
Though that exact number I would have to pull, but
Well,
like I
that's,
said, it's mainly week to week dependent. But I'd say probably 40 to 50 hours a week at a minimum, and then I can run those numbers.
But I think in all fairness to Becky, questions like that, Jamie, I think we should send to her.
Get
But
to
those are the
Megan.
kinds
Through
of
Megan, those are
Yeah.
the kinds of
Yeah.
things, exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
So, and I think we should get those to her as quickly as possible.
Yep.
So that you can prepare, Becky. I don't wanna,
Yeah.
you know,
You
if
don't
we
wanna
schedule a meeting
blindside
for
you.
next Wednesday night, say, yeah, I don't wanna give you a bunch of questions Wednesday morning.
No, I don't want to blindside you at all. We want you to
Yeah.
be prepared as
Yeah.
much as we are.
So-
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
that's why I was asking the.
No, I know, Jamie. That's a great question that should go there and ask, you know, what
Yeah.
percentage of hours
All
are
right.
paid and what percentage are volunteer and that
I
kind of
agree.
stuff per week.
So if anybody has any questions, please get them to Megan so we can get them
As
to Becky.
quickly as we can.
All right, Becky, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and you'll be hearing from us soon.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Becky.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. We did warrants correspondence. So correspondence. We only had one from Jim Kosis. You might mention to the board tonight that if they don't list anything under old business, they can't discuss any old business. There should be a heading within the agenda similar to all items that rarely fall under a heading of new business. If something from a prior meeting is not specifically put on the agenda, it cannot be discussed under old business. It's like the board member wanting to discuss the forensic audit because it's old business, not allowed since it was not specifically put in the agenda.
So,
So
go ahead, I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt you.
that's okay. This is not true. I would like whoever is out there that wants to send these kinds of emails or questions to the board to do research by calling the LCT or by getting a Robert Rules book and looking it up. Because we have the right to take the agenda tonight before we approve it and change it any way we would like. We could wipe it out and start all over if we would like. That is in the rule book. That's all I have to say on it. Mike?
Yeah, I have one thing. When someone in the general public makes statements and sends emails to, I think that email went to all of us. When that email comes out or statement, a letter, however they present it, if they're saying we're doing something wrong, give me a statute. Give me proof. Don't say that it's wrong
Because you think it is.
without proof.
Exactly.
Is it 32 VSA 2747-1? I don't know. Where is it wrong? Don't come off on the day of a meeting and say that it's wrong, because I have a huge problem with that. If it's wrong, state why, state where you got your information from. Don't just shoot from the hip. We just spent $100,000 on a forensic audit from shooting from the hip.
Thank you.
Okay? We spent $100,000 from shooting from the hip. Show me where it's wrong. And if it is wrong, then we're wrong. I'm fine with it. But as Angie stated, when we call this meeting to order and when we approve the agenda, we could wipe it all out and we could play bingo sit here for an hour and a half and play bingo, because that's our choice.
The only thing I would add, that is true. We can change the agenda. We can do whatever we want. I think it is, and I think we all agree that it is good practice that if we know what we're going to be talking about,
Absolutely.
put it out there.
Right.
We'll put it out there. We're not going to use old business to kind of sneak something in.
Absolutely not.
That's not what we're trying.
And
to
I'm
do.
getting very tired of certain people saying that we are trying to hide something, that we're being unfair, we're being sneaky. I think this board is extremely open, and we have done everything in our power to make sure that everything is out there and everything is on the website, it's on the Facebook page. I have a real problem with it, a huge problem. If you have a problem with me, then come talk to me. You have a problem with this board, then come talk to one of us board members
Or all of us.
or all of us.
Come to
Sit
a
at a
meeting.
board meeting.
Come sit at a board meeting, yes.
Zoom in.
Better yet, draw yourself up a petition and jump in. Both feet.
All right. Correspondence is done. Thank you very much. Now I lost my agenda.
Old business.
All right. Old business. Mike, what would you like to start with?
First thing I'd like to start with is, let's set a budget meeting date so that we don't get sidetracked from that.
Okay. Does anybody have a calendar in front of them?
I do,
Megan,
I do. I've got a calendar right now.
does she have any?
Megan, do you have any meetings scheduled next week, Wednesday, Thursday-ish?
No, there's nothing scheduled.
If possible, I would like to keep it regular Thursdays if possible.
And that's fine. And I think that works. I think that works for Ellen because I would like to invite her to the next budget work session.
Absolutely.
So, shoot for the 20th. Do we want to shoot for 6:30 instead of 7 o'clock?
Do you have a hard time getting here, Ronnie, as an earlier time? Or is,
I do, yeah. My meetings were supposed to be 7. That's what I
Well,
thought.
then we'll keep it 7, right? That's fine.
but we're
I don't
asking
know.
you your
That-
opinion.
If you want it earlier, I'll try to make it. If I can't make it, I won't make it. Let's do it.
All right, let's keep it at 7 if possible. Is that all right with you, Bob?
That's fine with me.
All right.
Either one's good.
So what's the date?
The 20th of January at 7 o'clock.
Is that okay, Megan?
Sounds good. I'll put it on the calendar.
Thank you, Megan.
And we'll make sure we do the proper warnings and all that, Megan, please. Thank you.
Thank
No
you.
problem.
The other thing I have is should be really quick, is there's some things flying around town, about the kennel and the proposed kennel and that Leonard has worked diligently on. I just want to make a statement that this kennel, the donations, that are on social media and I don't even know where else, I've just seen a solicitation for donations on social media. This select board in the town of Pownal in no way, shape or form is in the solicitation of those donations. We, even though the donations are the checks or whatever, it says be made out to the town of Pownal. The town of Pownal is in no way, shape or form involved in that as far as the select board is concerned, sorry.
Right.
You guys have any comments on that? other than-
Just-
No, we can't take and solicit.
We can't solicit, but if people are going to do it, they need to put on the check in the memo, donation
Correct.
for the dog kennel.
Or for whatever they want to
Or
take.
whatever
it for.
donation they want, if they want to send it to the new town office or whatever it is. Whatever the donation is, they need to put it in the memo, what the donation is for.
And then Ellen will take and put it on a donation line item
Correct.
stated for.
Yes,
in the-
correct.
So,
Okay?
yep.
All right.
So
Mike.
which brings me into one that might be a little lengthy. I don't think it should be that long, but the ARPA funding. So when I was in here yesterday, working with Ellen on some budget numbers, some things that popped up yesterday. Well, just while I was sitting here working, was the ARPA funding. The rules have changed again. Megan was working on some research on that yesterday. I'd like to propose to the board, and I believe the ARPA funds can pay for this person. I'm pretty positive they can, and I think we need to just make sure. But I'd like to propose to the board that we hire a person specifically on a temporary basis. Hire a person specifically to administer and find out information involved in this ARPA funding, because I just think that we're either gonna potentially, the potential's there. If we misspend money, then we have to pay it back. If
We have it right under provision of government services, so you can use the money to pay.
that's what I thought. Thank you, Amy.
You're welcome.
So, I just, and I'm not sure that we can hire it right off the bat. I mean, we need to have somebody who is versed in ARPA, which I don't think there's a whole bunch of people out there, but I think we need to try to get somebody.
That in government.
Even like a temporary consultant from either VLCT or Beamer or one of those organizations that we already do business with that specifically knows,
Or
what are
even
the
from
rules
another
around
town, if they
ARPA.
have somebody and they would be willing
If we had
to
to,
share.
that's right, if we were sharing a person, I don't have a problem with that. I just think that we're either gonna lose out on spending
Yes.
Right.
where we could really use it, or we're gonna misspend. I just don't wanna get into a situation
And have to pay
like
it back.
that.
Thank you.
Either side of
Right.
it, where we lose or, cause it's a lose-lose either way. It's way too much to put onto Megan, given her.
Requires the expertise. And
Right.
Right, not that she couldn't do it, because she probably could, but I'm afraid that if we really
Her
dump
plate's
all this
pretty
on her,
full right
then,
now.
then the rest of her work
Yes.
may suffer. And I don't want that to happen, so I propose that we hire a temporary consultant to, paid for by ARPA funds to, research and administer the ARPA funding. I guess administer would be the right word.
I think we would have to do a little investigation first, right? So
Yeah.
to maybe have Megan reach out to the VLCT and reach out to some of the organizations that we
Before
already do
we-
business with,
yeah.
to find out if they offer those services, what do they cost?
Yeah.
And then, and perhaps call on the gentleman behind us who I think can offer some insight.
Yes,
And that's fine. I mean, I'm willing to take some absolutely.
absolutely.
I would suggest that you talk to Jim Sullivan at BCRC.
Very good idea.
We do have a staff member who's been trying to sort all this out and assisting towns on this question. So if you were to contact Jim and voice your concerns and your thoughts about this, he may tell you that we'll put one of our staff members on this, or I don't know. But before I'm just suggesting,
No.
before you go out and hire somebody.
That's an
talk to
excellent-
Jim.
That's a great idea.
Doesn't hurt to
Could you
ask
just state
questions.
your
Your name- I
name
was just
for
gonna
the-
say,
yeah,
say your name.
Just for the record.
My name's Jim Henderson. I work for the Bennington County Regional Commissioner.
Thank you, Jim.
And,
We know who you are, but they don't.
I'm the environmental planner, not the ARPA planner.
Okay, thank you very much.
I think that's a great idea. I just want to go ahead with research. I guess maybe we research this out to start with, and maybe we can act on it, put it on our agenda for our regular meeting on the 27th. That gives us a couple of weeks to reach out to Jim and VLCT or whoever,
Exactly.
whoever. Is that,
I think Jim is correct. I think Jim Sullivan is probably the best resource we can have for that.
Yeah.
Probably the first stop.
First stop.
Then ask.
no, I agree with that totally. So
We can have Megan reach out.
I'd like to move that we research hiring a
Consultant.
consultant for
Administering and applying for funds.
administering and applying
Researching what we're eligible for.
exactly for the ARPA funds.
Can I have a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I just think it's too much for Megan.
I agree 100%.
else.
I think it's too much for anybody.
Well,
My
yeah,
God,
I mean,
it
well,
changes
I
daily.
think you need a certain person.
Every email, I'm like, oh my gosh.
The one you don't sign.
Yeah, let me see your pen there, buddy.
Okay, so moving on to Northern Tier Rail Service. Megan Randall, is she in, Megan?
She is not.
Do I have the statement? Oh, I thought I did.
Should be the last page in the packet.
I'm all mixed up now. I messed everything up.
Here's my packet if you want.
At the last page?
I have all the pages.
Oh, there it is. Last page. I know it is.
This one.
Right here. All right. So what is she asking us to do? We just move forward with our interest into this? Megan?
Yes, I believe so. I'm not sure what else she wanted to talk about. I sent her the agenda, but she's not in here.
All right. So the rail service is the Massachusetts Department of Transportation has recently undertaken a study on what's called the northern tier of passenger rail transportation in Massachusetts, including the feasibility of an extension from Boston to North Adams. The study will also explore continuing the service from North Adams on to Albany or possibly Schenectady, both of which destinations connect to New York City. This is a question in panel, but I suggest that we have nothing to lose by expressing interest in the possibilities of more convenient rail services from here. Again, by expressing interest, the select board would be making a commitment or would not be making a commitment or spending money. Rather than the board could send a representative of any relevant community meeting held by the MDOT so we could get a better sense of what is involved. There will soon be money in the federal pipeline for infrastructure improvements. Pownal should be poised with a future-oriented vision to take advantage of this. Again, this does not mean that we are making a commitment. It means we are opening a door that may and will have future financial benefits to the town of Pownal. Benefits may include more tourists coming to Destination Pownal, a place to hike, mountain trail, or ride bikes through a gorgeous scenery. A possible passenger station in Pownal where there exit several sidings and where Pownal owns right-of-ways. For example, near the sewage treatment plant, a cafe is said in the station and a car rental or taxi service. A future commuter rail service to Albany or Schenectady. Ultimately, the intermodal hub, freight, passenger, and commuter rail interacts to bring business to Pownal and help businesses already here. Think TAM, who could recycle goods elsewhere. Farmers could also ship products more cheaply. Pownal is a remarkable, well-placed to undertake interstate cooperation on this rail service. We have the rails, the sidings, and the up-to-date crossings. Pan Am Rails is for sale, and a new partner could well usher in a new era with them, especially if we have a plan. Pownal borders both Massachusetts and New York. We must start to see ourselves as part of a wider world, and take advantage of our gorgeous and scenic assets. So I agree with this. Anybody on the board would be willing to go to the meetings?
It's not Wednesday night.
Huh?
Well, it's not Wednesday night.
Have Megan, do some more research and find out when the meetings are and then get back to us. Or she could be the representative if she wanted to be and go to all the meetings. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm all for looking into this. Anybody else have any? Oh, yes,
Yeah,
Judy.
so the request is just that we express interest.
That we express interest.
But now,
yes.
are we expressing interest by assigning a designee, or are we just saying, sure, we're interested? I mean, it is interesting.
It's very
I
interesting.
know she stated she'd be willing to, but to go to the meetings initially when it was brought up. I wish she was on right now,
I thought she was going to be here, actually.
but it doesn't hurt to have one of us go also now and then, just make, to put a little teeth into it.
Would that be
We are-
something that you would be
Don't look for
interested
me.
in as long as
I'm
it's
a
not
little
Wednesday
stretched right
night?
now. so-
I'm pretty well stretched myself.
No, that's why I say as long as it's not Wednesday night, I would
But,
take it.
and it doesn't have to be a board member either. I mean, it can be.
Well, she's
it could be
asking for a board
It
member.
could be somebody on.
It could be
in
somebody.
One of our other boards also is the way she's worded it. The planning commission.
A board or a commissioner.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I guess we have to reach out to them and see if anybody has interest also.
Okay. All right, moving on. Stormwater Master Plan, Joel and Jim Henderson. Would you guys like to set up the table? Or are you comfortable over there? Whatever you would like.
I'll stand up and move over.
We have an empty chair right here for you if you want to sit here, and Joel can sit down there, or you want me to move Joel and you can sit next to Jim.
I brought a map to show an example of one of the stormwater master plans that was developed for one of our other towns in the county. This is from the town of Sandgate. Now, just to back up, about 5 years ago, Joel worked with Shelley Stiles of the Bennington County Conservation District to put together a grant application to create one of these stormwater master plans. And that grant was not approved. So this isn't a new thought particularly for the highway department. And what this would do, one more step back. It used to be that towns would put in for an application to get the funding. And we did that for 5 different towns. And last year, the state of Vermont Department of Environmental Conservation decided no more grant applications. We are going to choose 7 towns in the state of Vermont and hire 1 consultant to do all those towns. So that's what they did last year. Manchester was one of those towns that they did. And they put out an RFP and they hired a consultant to do all 7 of those towns. I got a phone call from Jim Pease, who works for the Department of Environmental Conservation 2 weeks ago, saying we have additional funding for this year to do another group of towns. Do you have any towns in your mind, in your region in mind, that would be interested in participating this year? And I said, Bennington, North Bennington, and Pownal. And what they would do, no financial commitment to the town. It will cost you nothing. They're paying for it. They will have a consultant meet with the board at a kickoff meeting to discuss the project and all the technical aspects of it, their expectations, your expectations, what the final product would be. And I can discuss what those final products would be. So the consultant will then go out with Joel or any other person in town and look at what we already know are problem areas where there are issues that need to be fixed. They could be issues that need to be fixed because the Clean Water Act is saying by a certain date, you need to have XYZ fixed. Or it could be an area that Joel knows this is always an issue and we have to come back and fix this problem year after year. So the first step would be to do a site visit of the town. Then they will come and do a complete inventory of the town, and they'll produce a map like this that shows where they've identified where there are issues. And they could be things like undersized culverts or large culverts that aren't big enough for the stream going through them, so they're creating erosion at the outlet. Areas where there's embankments that are sliding, a whole variety of issues. They will produce this map showing us where they found the problems. We will have another meeting and we will prioritize. We'll tell them, these are what we consider to be the major problems, and they will put them through a ranking system. They have a matrix that will rank them, prioritize them from high to low. On top of that, we'll take their list of the high priority projects and they will do 3 conceptual designs of the engineering that would address the issue and fix the issue. I will say that every town that has participated in this process, they have been very pleased with the results, and they have 100% grant application success rate on grants that they have applied for based on their stormwater master plan. And they usually start off with the high ones that have the conceptual design. Because, when you put in for a grant application, and some of these ones are the high ticket ones, they see that they've been fully studied, and they also see, here's the engineering design for it. So that cost has already been taken care of. So I'm here to ask if you're interested in participating in this. I wrote a draft letter of commitment. That
Did you
is,
guys all get that?
that's all they need from you right now.
Get a copy of that.
Yeah, I got an email. I don't have a copy of it.
Right now, all they need is, for the select board to sign on to the letter of commitment. And I've spelled out in there what you really are committing to is that you will host them at a kickoff meeting. The road foreman and anybody else will show them, take them on a site visit. Then we will review their initial study and help to prioritize the sites. Then they will produce the final draft of the plan, a report, and they will present it at a public meeting, and they're asking that you'll commit to allow them to come in and present to you and the public, their final report. Perhaps, I think, in my opinion, the most important part of the report is each one of these sites on this map that is identified has its own project sheet, so that you can flip through it and go, okay, well, what is RD2 on this road? What does that mean? You flip to it and it will have pictures, a map of that area.
Examples. Yep.
And then it will tell you, it will say, this is the problem. This is what needs to be done to address that problem. So every site on here has one of these project sheets. It's full of really good, important information, in my opinion. So all I'm here to do is to tell you about this offer. And if you're willing to sign on, then they need a letter of commitment.
So,
And they would start doing this probably early summer. And it would probably take it would be a 2-year process.
So basically, we'll put together a plan, whether we like it or not. We're in the municipal roads with the permitting, and we're in the stormwater. So this puts together a plan. It'll lay out 3 plans, like Jim said, and it cost them pretty much, put the cost in, and kind of gives you something to budget for. And like Jim said, be way easier to get grants to do these projects. They're projects that we would be doing anyhow, that we would have to do.
We'd already have the engineer.
You know what I mean?
study
That's a
and all
really
that
good
with it.
point that Joel brings up. The Clean Water Act has established what you probably have heard of, the municipal road general permit. And the town has to bring up all their roads to new best management practices that the state has adopted 2 years ago. And frankly, most of this that they will identify will be issues that you have to do anyways.
Anyway, yeah.
So Joel, just so that everyone is clear, me included, these are potentially projects like you did on Carpenter Hill, Man Hill South,
Yep.
Pratt Road, right?
Yep.
Okay, so
Very
which are, right, Jim? Okay,
Yes.
I just want to make sure that our viewers are clear.
Right. Yeah.
I was clear on it, but, I just wanted to clarify for sure for myself too. And these are the engineering costs for these plans. We're going to be forced from the Clean Water Act to do whatever they come up with anyways. So on some of them, not all, but some of
Yeah,
them, right?
not every project that they identify would fall under that municipal road general permit.
Good point. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. So
Because just to clarify, the municipal road general permit applies to roads that are within 100 feet of the surface water.
Right.
Whereas they're gonna look at the entire road system.
That's all of our roads, isn't
And
it?
they'll also look at parking lots, like at the school, for
Yeah.
instance. And for an example, one of the projects that they identified in Arlington is at the high school and the elementary school are across the streets from each other. and there's perennial issues of high water washing down the hill into the parking lot where the library is. That would not be covered under the municipal road general permit, but it is a significant stormwater issue. And so they came up with a design to fix that. That involves like infiltration of the surface water, getting it into the ground through various techniques. Another one was at the Howard Park in Shaftesbury, which similar scenario, a large gravel parking lot. All the stormwater drains into one corner and forms into this big mud puddle. And when the water does eventually leave, there's a layer of mud. So they want to create an infiltration system to get the water back into the ground sooner and quicker. So it does go beyond what is required of the municipal road general permit. I want to make that clear.
Right.
One thing that one of the towns, North Bennington and Bennington, have agreed and signed on to do this. One of them had a concern that they're going to open up a can of worms and find a project and then say, you have to fix this. The fact is that the only thing that the town has to fix are those roads that are hydrologically connected within 100 feet of a surface water, or if there's a parcel that has over 3 acres of impervious surface, picture like a large parking lot or something, they will have to be addressed based on the requirements of the Vermont Clean Water Act. But other than that, just because they tell you this is a problem issue, you should fix it, doesn't mean you have to. But you will continue to have to deal with it.
Correct.
So just a couple of questions is, when you, at the beginning, you were talking about grouping the 7 towns together, and then they asked whether or not there was any towns, and it was Bennington, North Bennington, and Pownal. Could be one of those, or 3 of those 7 towns that one consultant would be assigned to. And the
I
consultant.
believe that's what they're gonna do this year as well.
Okay, and the consultant, just to make sure we're clear, the consultant is actually being paid for by the state.
Correct.
So and then the output of that is going to be something similar to this, except for Pownal.
That's correct.
Something similar to this that could be, and each one of these items that comes out of here is a potential another project, and it could run anywhere from the gambit of being, close to surface water, which a lot of ours are, but then we have a lot of roads up in the mountains too, that don't fall into that category, but still have the issues of stormwater and drainage and runoff.
Yeah.
And those are the kinds of problems that this would solve. And then coming out of it, we would have each one of these. So when we said 3 conceptual plans, is it like each one of these comes up with 3 conceptual plans?
No, we would pick, we would
Prioritize.
have a meeting with them and we would look at all of these, and based on our feedback, they would pick 3 of these projects and come up with a conceptual engineering design for it. So on this particular map for Sandgate, let's say there's 35 projects. Out of the 35 projects, we would say we want to have conceptual designs on 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't 3 different designs for the same project. It was
No,
3
3 different
conceptual
projects.
designs,
Yeah.
one each for 3
Correct.
projects.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then based on those conceptual designs, and that would be the prioritization, right? We would have
Correct.
35 of these and we would prioritize 3.
Yeah.
If I'm hearing correctly, the only risk that I heard was that you could potentially find something that you have to do.
Right.
But then you might find that later anyway, and then you have to.
But one thing is, we do have a road erosion report already, if you guys remember back. And that is on the state website and everything, so it's already out there.
Right.
The state
You
already
know what I
knows.
mean?
Right.
It's not like this is gonna be a big surprise. It's already
The information's already at the
out
state
there.
level.
Yeah, sure.
But
There-
beyond that,
Irene identified a lot of that.
I would just like to add to what Joel said. That road erosion inventory that he's referring to, which is on a state website, and it was the requirement, the town had to do this. that is only looking at the roads that are within 100 feet of the surface water. Joel could tell you right now that there's some roads that aren't next to a surface water that have significant erosion issues, and they're always having to go back and grade them or, fix them. So they're gonna look at all the roads, not just the ones that are
Right.
required to be fixed.
Yeah, we've got quite a few that turn right into soup.
Absolutely. And it could just be, like Joel could say to them, this road, even though it's not near a surface water, every spring, cars are up to their axles because we don't have a sufficient road bed. And so they may say, okay, well, then you need to raise this road bed and create a better crown, even if it's not next to a stream or a river or a wetland.
Right, so, and that means that, like, some of the roads that we always have the runoff problems and we always have to go and resurface and.
Yeah, yeah.
Cars sinking and all that stuff.
Yeah, which is all of them, so.
How many miles of those do we have?
40 miles.
But that means that what comes out of this, could be, and, well, I guess what I'm trying to get everything has pros and cons, and I'm having a hard time coming up with a good pros and cons.
Yeah.
Right, and that's kind of where I'm going, but it so far, it sounds like even if we had projects that we had to budget for, some of that budget would be taken out of some of the resurfacing and other things. The maintenance would go down because we did the project.
Well, there's a
That's
potential for that, I believe.
There's right, and that's best case.
Well, the other
But
thing,
then the worst case is that, we do the project and we don't really see any benefit to our budget or anything else.
but the other thing with those three identifiers in that work being done, that's stuff that we don't have to take and spend grant money on or budgeted money on for the engineer, site plan, the engineer plan, and all that's required for the
Right,
grant.
this is the
For the
output of the
project.
state-funded consultant.
Correct.
And then from that point, then it would become a Pownal project that we would have to budget for. I want to make that clear, that this isn't all free.
Right.
Because and then we would have to budget for something.
Budget and apply for grants.
Well,
And
we,
and
already
we
have
and then
those
we can
studies.
offset.
We have to
We
do that
can
normally
apply.
anyways if we have to fix a road.
we can apply for grants, and by having this master plan, you have a better chance of
Getting
getting grant money.
Right.
Yeah, a project that's identified in the stormwater master plan would rise to the top of the grant competition.
Especially if it's
Right,
better
so
engineered.
We
got
would
some,
put
legitimate
right in that grant application as identified in the 2022 stormwater master plan created by XYZ consultant, this project, and then we would have that project sheet. It may not even be one of the projects that needs to be engineered. It could just be a simple culvert replacement, but there would be one of those project sheets, and we would add that into the grant application as an addition. So it just makes every single future grant, like next year when we put in for a better road grant, it will rise that grant up to a higher standard than if we didn't have this as a background.
And so to do this project right here, Jim, so I'm clear, there's no cost to the town. It's just we commit to this project.
That's correct. You would be committing to having one meeting with the consultant at the beginning of the project so that we can flush it all out and discuss it and have a discussion of the process, the technical aspects of it. What are the expectations? Then there will be a commitment you'll commit that Joel will attend a site visit and take them around to what we consider to be the high problem areas. Then you would commit to having another meeting, most predominantly with Joel, and I would also attend these meetings too. This would not have to be a full select board meeting, but to look at all the projects and then go through them and say, yes, this is important, this one's the lower on the totem pole. The final commitment would be for the select board to host them for a final presentation. So there's no money commitment. It's more or less committing that you'd allow Joel to spend time doing it and that you would host them at a public meeting.
I don't think there's really a con to it because it's stuff that we're gonna have to do.
Anyway,
Well, plus at this point, we could decide, just, we're not gonna apply, it would be dumb, but we're not gonna apply for the grant, we're not gonna.
We're not gonna go along with this. We're done. Yeah, we could go.
Yeah, we don't.
Say thank you for your time. Have a nice night.
That letter shows
Careful driving
interest in engaging the consultant
Yes.
and getting the conceptual design.
I move that we, move forward with a letter of intent or whatever we need.
it's already written out.
Ronnie, do you see any risk?
That's a letter that I drafted. And it's the exact same letter that,
I've seen that.
that the town of Bennington signed. And on Tuesday night, I met with the village trustees in North Bennington, and they're gonna sign onto the letter. Then, once I get the signed letter sent back to me, I forward that to Jim Pease, who works for the Department of Environmental Conservation and is managing this program, and he'll put you on the list. I guarantee you, if you don't take up this offer, another town will take it like that.
I'll read this letter into the minutes.
Okay.
And have Megan add it to the minutes of the meeting. From the Vermont Department of Environmental Conservation Water Investment Division, here's their address. Dear Mr. Pease, the town of Pownal is committed to working with the Vermont DEC and its consultants to develop a stormwater master plan for the town of Pownal. We understand that the stormwater master plan will identify, map, evaluate, and prioritize stormwater problem sites in the town, will outline appropriate steps the town can take to address those problems, protect water quality while building a strong, resilient, and sustainable community. The highway supervisor and other appropriate town officials will participate in an initial scoping meeting to verify the mutual understanding of the project context and goals. During this meeting, the DEC and its consultant will discuss details regarding their approach. We'll go over technical aspects of the project. The meeting will conclude with a tour of the town to visit sites of known roadway erosion and stormwater problem areas. Excuse me. The DEC and its consultant will prepare a final report and other deliverables for the town's review, comment, and input. The highway supervisor and other officials will attend the final presentation of the stormwater master plan. Sincerely, the Pownal Select Board. I move that we sign that letter.
You know what?
I'll second that. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I think
Got a
now we
motion on
say,
the table.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Well, I was just gonna add, a couple of years ago, we put in for a grant to do that. And I think it was a $20,000 grant.
With a $4,000 match.
With it was 80-20, so this is all.
Getting it
This
all
time
paper.
is-
Right.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you so much for coming in.
Really nice job, Jim.
Nice job.
Will you, is this the letter that you want, Jim? Or are you gonna give us a formal copy?
Whoever you would like, I've already sent this to Joel in an email, in a Word document. If you want me to send it to somebody else, then that's fine, or Joel can
You
just
just have
send
her
it.
sign it after.
No, I think we could take it from here. We probably want to put it on letterhead and
I think you
sign it as a select.
You might want to put it on your letterhead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. I think
Absolutely.
that's right. I guess that's what my question was, and I just didn't ask it the right way. Okay, perfect. And then we'll enter that into our minutes and go from there. Perfect. We can have Megan do that, and we can probably, do we want to have all 5 board member signatures on there, or Angie's is fine? I mean, what do we want to do
I
there?
think Angie's is fine.
I think Angie's, is probably fine.
I'm fine with that. So,
Okay.
I move that the board authorize Angie to sign this letter on behalf of the board.
Second it.
All those in favor?
Want to make sure we cross our T's and dot our
I
I's.
know. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming in.
I appreciate the
gotta-
invite
I gotta
and
steal
the
a drink.
interest.
And thank you for the clear presentation. The benefits were stood out. Thank you.
All right, so when you have your letter ready, you can have somebody just email it to me, and then I will, move it on to Jim Pease,
Okay.
who will add you to the list.
Okay,
And I think, he will want me to kind of be the middleman between them and the town. And that's fine. That works with my position and what I get paid to do anyway. So I'll be back in touch with you sooner than later.
okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, Mr. Joel.
Okay, the only other thing I had, well, a couple things actually. We did get the equipment grant. So we don't have to fill out the paperwork until we get the equipment. But we did get
Nice.
$6,000 towards a roller.
That's nice. Every little bit helps.
Yes, it does. Excuse me, yes.
Good luck finding one for $6,000.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah,
That's why he said towards a roller.
Probably good luck finding one period in today's world, but
so another thing we got was from the state of Vermont. They sent a letter in accordance with Title 19 Vermont States, sections 1109, blah, blah, blah. The Transportation Board has promulgated a rule to prevent the abuse of highways from November 15th to December 31st and January 1st to May 15th inclusive in each year, or until the adoption or announcement of any modification to the rule. 2 copies of which enclosed herewith in accordance with section 12, Act number 246 in 1990. This rule is now administered by the Agency of Transportation. So basically, this is, it kind of gives us permission to shut the roads down in the mud seasons, basically. You read that, we have to post that in 2 public places. And I think it said there somewhere, they'd even give you some signs in the mud, well, most any time in that time period, we have a lot of mud. And it really knocks the weights down if you look
Yeah.
and see on them.
and correct me if I'm wrong.
Class
Show that to
Um,
Mike, you can look at it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Joel, we, at this time,
We have it,
we don't have the real authority.
we have it in our permits, our excess weight permits, where we can shut them down. Basically, I think that says typically in March, April.
Right, I think that's what the
Yeah.
permit says.
Yeah, yeah.
And this,
But this gives us a little wider.
right, and this gives us, because in the last few years, I've seen the mud season has changed significantly. We've had some mud in January that's been pretty bad, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
January, February.
Right, right.
Thank you,
okay.
Jim.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Good night, everyone.
So if we post that and I guess kind of adopt the rulings, then when we do have bad mud at any time,
And I gotta be honest, unfortunately,
Can I just ask one question? Like if you do shut down a road because of mud, and if there's a fire or an ambulance or something, they can still go through.
well, we're not gonna close the road. It just drops the weight restriction.
Just the weight.
Way down.
Okay.
On it.
But would a fire truck be okay and
Yeah.
an ambulance?
Emergency vehicle.
Emergency
you
vehicle?
can't,
Pretty
you
much.
can't,
exempt.
you can't, they're exempt.
Precedent.
They're exempt from everything. All right, just make
They
it.
always have precedent.
So I agree with this, and unfortunately, our local contractors aren't the ones who would abuse this
Correct.
road. If the road were muddy to start with, our local guys aren't going over the road. It's their tax dollars that are repairing it.
There's actually one road was cold storage. I'd like to had closed back a little while ago in the log truck because it did a lot of damage to it.
That's right. That's the one I tried you guys not to
Pretty
approve the permit for, but that's
It
okay.
did do a lot of damage to that one.
Whatever. It's the out of town contractor that's in here for, working for 3-4 days a week or whatever. And those guys, unfortunately, I won't say they don't care because I think they do, but their vested interest is to get their job done.
Get in and get out.
And if they damage the road, they damage the road. That's, unfortunate, but. And I don't think, I'm pretty positive that our road foreman, because you're ultimately in charge of that, right? Posting the roads. I gotta believe our road foreman is not gonna inadvertently post a road just to make somebody angry.
Right.
I just, so
Who would it be? I'm sure.
because most of the guys would be down there at the farm.
Yeah.
Hunting you down. For sure. So it wouldn't go well. I move that we move forward with this. And posting that whatever we need to do.
Yeah, we have to just post it in two
Places, right?
stores or,
Yeah.
places of business.
So if we add it to the website and then post it like we generally do any public information.
It should be covered. Yeah. Plus you'll have signage as well.
We can post it, I mean, like our agendas are posted at the town office, reading off here.
Yeah.
Town website, Facebook, Winchester's in the Village Market. If we post it in those places,
We're covered. Yes, absolutely.
And if you're making a motion, I'll second it.
All right.
Just to cover us on the.
Yes, please. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. Anything else, Joel?
Basically state anyhow.
Right.
Laws, I wanted to touch base with the Mount Anthony culvert. I'm probably gonna hire Otter Creek Engineering. He's already come down and looked at it. He's putting together a budget right now, and when I hear from him, if it's not exorbitant, we'll, keep going with the project. The big thing is, I guess some of you remember, Bob, you probably do, Ronnie, we had a hard job with the engineer originally hired to do that project. They never gave us a set of working plans. They were all drafts, not made to put out to bid. It said right on them and stuff. And
Right, nothing finalized.
nobody was really comfortable with it. And the engineer I usually use reached out to that engineer, as we did several times, and he got nowhere with it. So he felt kind of uncomfortable. Otter Creek, he worked for Otter Creek before he went on his own. I contacted them. They came down and looked at it, and we'll go from there with it. He wants to try to digitize what plans we do have and make sure, they just weren't comfortable with working with somebody else's plans that weren't complete, basically. And we paid a lot of money for them plans, if you guys remember. One other thing I wanted to ask you guys. Now, we always have to borrow a trailer when we need one, or I bring my own, which I had the last 3 times, moving the dog kennels back and forth and moving some blocks over here by the propane tanks and the new, we don't have a trailer. I sometimes borrow Pownal or Bennington's. I sometimes borrow Williamstown. It's, you wear out your welcome after a while. Mm-hmm. So if you don't mind, I got some quotes basically on some 16,000 pound trailers, 8 ton, nothing big. It's something we can tow, spindle hitch behind the 1 tons, even the big dump truck if we need to, but they're not heavy enough to put our excavator on or, you know, but they are for a small roller. You know, anytime we do that, I always had to borrow a trailer to.
Sweeper or
And
something
then
like that.
anything like that, yeah, yeah. So, all the Howe brothers, they never got back to me. Kaufman Trailers, they never got back to me. Lucky's, they had, gave me three prices, 14,000 pound trailer for 98.63, 16,000 pound, but that was like a 30-foot long trailer, 25 foot deck with a 5-foot beaver tail, was 16,000 pounds. That was $14,000. And then they had another smaller one that was 14,000 pounds smaller with a 20-foot deck and a 5-foot beaver tail. John's over here in Hoosick Falls. These are all Big Tex trailers. They're all the same trailer. He's got two coming in for $11,500. They won't be here until summertime, I'm guessing. They're on order.
That's a 16,000 pound.
That's a 16,000 pound and 18-foot deck and a 5-foot beaver tail with ramps that fold up and make a complete. These are deck overs, not car trailers. Flat, so you can load onto them.
Salem doesn't have anything, or
Salem?
Farm Supply? They used to carry.
I don't believe it. So anyhow, I was thinking, if it's all right with you, I'll put my name on one of them.
We have the money in the budget, correct?
Yes, we do. Especially now. See, I brought some more in.
That's right.
But if you don't mind, put our name on one of them, and
I move that we buy a trailer for the
it's something all kind of neat.
16,000 pound trailer from JC Tractor for $11,500.
Is that, that's the one you were asking for, right?
Yeah.
I suck it.
He's right there in Hoosick Falls, you know.
Yeah.
I'm
Our dealership.
sorry to ask the, I mean, it's a trailer. Is there any option to buy a used trailer, or is that, they're just too hard to find?
You know, I talk to a lot of people, and what most people tell me is being a town or municipality, you're kind of foolish to buy a used trailer. And, you know, liability reasons and blah, 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 but just, yes, I know where there's a 20 ton now, it needs redecking, it needs some of the shackle work, he's got some parts with it, and you know what I mean? Just,
Okay.
you know, the brakes are new on this thing,
Right.
As long as we have money in the budget, I don't have a problem
Well,
buying new.
I agree with Joel. It's really hard to keep going to Williamstown or Bennington or
Keep borrowing and borrowing.
whoever you go to every time you have to move some.
And if you do it a lot, it
Yeah.
We're
We're gonna wear out our welcome.
Well, and the other thing is, you know, they have a project planned for next Tuesday and they need the trailer, and then Bennington's using their trailer on Tuesday and
Yeah.
Williamstown's using their trailer on Tuesday, and
you know, I do use my own trailer in pickups to tow them just because of liability. That way I'm all,
Yeah.
you know, registered and
Well, the other
insured,
thing
at
is
least
we have
in my name. But, you know, that's kind of
Emergency.
And you shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah,
I mean, you
but-
shouldn't take that responsibility.
minor farm duty trailers.
Right.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, that's not part of your job to use your equipment.
well, right. So I just think it's a smart move.
Yep. So I have a motion. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. Anything else, Joe?
No, we're good.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks, Joel.
All right, so then now we're moving on to Planning Commission Board member. So we have a letter of intent from Stacy Boxer.
I don't know if any,
Did everybody read that?
Yes.
we don't have to, until we get the new equipment, we don't have to.
I think that was, that's the only one that we
I got all
received, right?
Anyhow.
Send that
We have-
to an email.
Semi-retired and lives in Pownal.
There was an email. Or
Right, how many open positions do we have?
Okay.
We only have one left, right? 'Cause we
All,
filled
and then
the
we
other
can,
one.
everybody else.
Again?
Yes, there's one left.
One left, thank you. So this would fill that one position.
And it's the only individual we have showing interest.
Correct.
Oh, I take that back. There are 2 positions that are open, 2 vacant.
2 vacant,
Two
right?
vacant.
That's what I
Yes.
thought. Yeah.
Make one
Just the
person.
one letter. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you, guys.
thank you,
Thanks, Joel.
Joel.
Thanks, Joe.
I've met Mr. Boxer previous to this, letter of intent. I've also had some different discussions with him on some different things in town, some proposals that he's had as a zoning administrator. I think he's from the discussions I've had, I think he would be an asset to the planning commission, in my opinion.
Okay, can I have a second? Is that the motion, Mike?
I'll make a motion that we appoint Mr. Boxer, sir.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. All right, property cleanup questionnaire. They are looking to put out on the website or our Facebook,
So who's they?
the planning commission, sorry, excuse me.
That's all right.
The planning commission is looking to put a questionnaire or a suggestion box out on the website or on the Facebook about property cleanup. So they are working on bylaws regarding trash cleanup. I don't have a problem with that. We just have to be extremely careful. We don't want to open up the town to any kind of liability.
So what are they talking about, to amend our bylaws that we just recently passed as far as the trash and all that stuff?
I guess this is more in depth of like,
Or individual situations?
yes, and they're talking about like trash bags, trash.
Well, I think a property cleanup questionnaire is fairly general. But I do think that we need some guidance, at least from the zoning standpoint. We could use a little guidance as to what the town itself is looking for on property cleanup. And I mean, trash is one thing. Trash falls into the health department,
Yep.
falls under Fred, the health officer. But I don't think putting out a questionnaire I don't think it opens us up, Ange, for a bunch of liability, because ultimately any amendments and changes to the bylaws have to come back to the board anyway.
Right. I just don't want people using names of people's properties or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, I think that's a great point. I think we put some guidelines in it such as that, absolutely no names or addresses.
Right.
This is kind of a general thing.
Yeah.
So do we have a questionnaire that somebody wants to put out?
I haven't seen one.
I haven't seen one, but the planning commission wants to do this.
So why don't
Megan,
we?
did they show you any kind of questionnaire yet?
Template or?
Or template or anything?
No, they just discussed one question, which was how can we encourage ways to eliminate trash in town?
Okay.
That's the only question that they want to put out there?
Yes.
Repeat that question again, please.
How can we encourage ways to eliminate trash in town?
Okay.
Throw it up there and they can.
Right.
People can offer suggestions.
Well, if that's the question,
Yes,
the question that the planning commission's asking, I don't see any harm in that, because you're not
pinpointing anything.
That's
They're
right.
asking for specifics.
Personally, I don't see a
I don't see a
So
problem
are
with it
they-
either.
They're asking, can they post a?
They're asking if they can post that question on our website and Facebook.
Well, isn't our
Or-
website, one of them is no comments, right, Megan?
Yeah, so if it's a questionnaire, it's probably going to be on the website.
Yeah.
Yeah, on Facebook, there's no commenting.
Right,
Correct.
Facebook, there's no comments. That's what I thought.
So it'd be just our website.
Just the website.
Are we 100% sure that that it is just that one question, or is it, or are they asking about with the goal of
Right.
eliminating trash? Can or should we come up with a questionnaire to put out to the citizens?
So-
I'm not exactly sure what the ask is.
Megan, doesn't the planning commission have a meeting next Tuesday?
Yes, the 18th.
Right, and I was invited to that as a zoning administrator. So maybe what we do is and I hate this word. I hate to table anything.
Well,
But if we table it to our regular meeting on the 27th, maybe we can bring back, because this is on their agenda for the meeting of the 18th. Maybe we can bring back a clearer picture of exactly what they're looking for the 27th and move forward at that point. And I hate to table stuff.
Well,
You know how much that hurt.
yes, but the other
You can use
thing,
the word moving.
but we need some clarification.
yes,
No, I know.
Move.
And we want to make sure that that if we do post something on our website, that we all agree on the questions, and they're not
Exactly.
leading, they're not trying to go
Right.
toward a.
if they had sent in a questionnaire
That we could look at and
that we
oppose,
could
yes.
see, that'd be one thing, but they didn't really do that.
Yep.
Unless it really was just that one question, in which case but we need the clarification.
Right.
And
You should
I'll
write the question down.
I'll attend that meeting on the 18th and be able to bring back, the information on the 27th. Our next regular meeting is the 27th. I'm pretty
Correct.
sure, right?
Yes.
So let's put that, Megan, let's put that on the agenda for the 27th, please.
Okay.
And should we also just send an email to the chair just to clarify whether or not a questionnaire already exists? Are you asking to create a questionnaire? I think we should, that's just an email, right? Just-
Yeah, we could send the chair of the planning commission that email, Megan, that the select board is, wondering if there's a questionnaire, if it's just the one question. And then we can discuss that at the meeting on the 18th.
Okay. Will do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. Okay, moving on to number 12, Cat TV. Do we need to discuss that any further, or do you think we made it clear last week?
I thought we made it.
Well,
I just wanted everybody to be aware that we pay $6,000 a year for the contract, and the contract is only for our regular select board meetings. And if we ask them to do other meetings, it's gonna cost more money, obviously.
I thought it's regular select board meetings and the town meeting.
That's correct.
Okay.
But now that we're on Zoom, we just like we said, but since we brought it up, we'll.
Right.
So we do post those to our, to both YouTube and our
Website.
Website, yep.
well, not our website, our Facebook page,
And it's on YouTube.
and it's on YouTube.
Yep.
But it's not on our website, I don't think.
But there is some.
It's not on townofpownal.org, but it is on our Facebook site and it is on YouTube, is what I think, but I'm not
Correct.
sure. It might be on townofpownal.org,
I
but
had it right here.
It's available in the document archive with the minutes and agendas.
Yep.
on the Town and Pownal website, correct?
Yes, correct.
oh, all right.
Yes,
That's
Megan,
very cool.
thank you.
Yeah.
But we've got some people that don't have that
A lot of
access.
people that don't have it.
So that's why we.
Say some.
Well,
A lot of people don't have it.
Okay. Moving on
watch it on public
to
television.
public comment. Please remember to raise your hand, state your full name, and 3 minutes. Thank you, Megan.
Give me a minute to get to the timer.
Oh, just a second. Mike's getting his timer out.
I'm good.
Okay, Megan.
A minute.
Jim?
Hello, Jim Kosis, Mason Hill Road. Since we had that little, I guess, discussion on my letter that I sent in, I just wanted to follow up There is, as you know, the statutes are a little confusing and vague and at certain times, but I'd like to just read a VLTC opinion about adding items to agenda. Our opinion is that the language in 1 VSA 312D 3A, there is your statute, does not give a public body free rein to alter a meeting agenda at the last minute. Instead, our advice is that once the deadline for posting an agenda has passed, 48 hours in advance of a regular meeting and 24 hours in advance of a special meeting, items should only be added to the agenda when necessary to deal with an unforeseen occurrence or condition requiring immediate action. All other cases, an item that has not been listed on a posted agenda should not be discussed at a last minute addition. Instead, the body should place the item on the agenda of their next regular meeting, or if necessary, call a duly noticed special meeting to address that item. Taking this approach will assure that, and this is the most important thing for Pownal, the public has adequate advance notice and an opportunity to be heard on all topics to be discussed and decided by the public body. Now, I'm not going to hold this against your board. I'm going to hold this against prior boards, but I just don't like to see items added at the last minute. There were decisions made many years ago that agendas were changed and things were put on the agenda and a decision was made and a vote was taken and people were not part of the whole thing. So my basic suggestion is if we can refrain from adding so many items that are not necessarily necessary to be discussed or a decision made like tonight, then I would really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Megan, anybody else raising their hand?
Mindy Joe?
Hello, my name is Mindy Joe Harrington, and can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yeah.
can.
All right, so back in September, I had Fred Miller come down to the Burdick Trailer Park to assess a couple of things. I was told to send an email to Mr. Gardner. November 9th at 4:29 p.m., I sent an email to Mike Gardner, and then didn't hear nothing, didn't set up a meeting or a walkthrough. December 13th, Georgette Sullivan complained about something that wasn't discussed, but something was done because now the estate isn't being held accountable. Mindy Joe Harrington is. Personally, there's nothing about the estate there or attention executor. Monday, I have a roll off and an excavator coming. Okay, I don't know how to run it, but I'm going to attempt it. Jeff Miller gave me a price of $4,000 to do the road. However, it cannot be done until spring. The weather's preventing it. And you got to have the frost heaves out of it. Oh my goodness. So there's garbage stacked straight up to the ceiling inside of lot 6. Also, Harvey's yard and the sheds. People have taken liberties to use his sheds for storage. I'm at a loss for words over this $200 a day fining Mindy Joe Harrington when that road I've been trying, but when I got people that don't pay rent, that all they want to do is complain and don't want to pay their way through things, it makes it impossible to do. I don't understand why I didn't get my request for the walkthrough after Mike, before he left for his hunting trip, Mr. Gardner, said to email him and he would get back to me. He never did. Then you guys waited for a complaint, and now I'm in violation of zoning bylaw 8.4.3 streets and parking, and zoning bylaw 8.4. solid waste, water supply, and wastewater disposal. Now, if I don't have this stuff done in 30 days, I will be fined not more than $200 a day. Let's see, Jeff Miller Sr. gave me a quote of $4,000, said it can't be done till spring. Robert Russell said he would do it for nothing if I could rent the equipment, but it can't be done till spring. Julie Weber's tenants, she gave permission to move in here as part of the reason why they're so bad with their wheelers, side by sides, and four-wheel drive trucks that get in the holes when it's muddy up there and spin the tires and sling mud. Okay. None of y'all know this because you're not here in it. Okay. I get it. I'm hard to deal with. I don't always word things properly. I come off rough around the edges. I come off bold and bitchy and whatnot. I don't mean to. It's just who I am. I'm fighting for my home here. All right. And this letter, notice of violation, is directed directly at me. Not
Mindy,
the.
Joe, excuse me, but your time's up.
Yes, it is. You're right. Have a good night. Goodbye.
Anybody else out there?
There's no one else raising their hand.
Okay,
So I think a couple things. Bob has something.
Oh, I don't. I just,
remember, it's just public comment.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I'd like to make a statement on Mr. Kosas's comments and Mindy Joe's at this point. So, Mindy Joe, I believe, is probably absolutely correct that the letter should have gone to the estate, and we will
Send that, right? We already discussed that with Megan.
I will resend that letter to the estate. That's an error on my part. As far as the dates, I'm not totally sure. I'd have to look back on the dates of whatever. I believe one of them was while I was gone away. So we will resend the letter to Mindy Joe, or to the estate. I'm sorry, to the estate. And of the zoning violations. Now, just because we send a letter with the zoning violations and the potential for a fine doesn't mean that that's the course of action that should be taken. Okay, and I just want to be clear on that. But we have to send the letter of zoning violations wherever they need to go, and there's going to be more to follow, just so the board knows, not to Burdick's Trailer Park. So I want to be clear on that. When I say there's more to follow, it's different. There's some different things in town that we're looking at and moving forward on. So we will resend that to the correct place. Okay, Megan and I discussed that earlier tonight. And then it'll go where it needs to go, and then we can discuss and rectify the violations. However, I guess it would be the executor of the estate and the zoning administrator, being me, however we deem necessary.
Right.
To rectify the violations, which doesn't necessarily mean a fine, but you have to put that in there as a potential. This is potentially what could happen. Okay. As far as Mr. Kosas's comment.
can I just ask the question?
Sure.
Is
Sorry.
there so no one currently for that property, no one is incurring a daily fine, right?
No, absolutely not, Bob.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, no, there's no fines being incurred right now.
Just the question I had. In
No,
my head.
for sure. No, good question. No. And like I said, I mean, just because we put that in a letter of zoning violation, no matter where it goes to, doesn't mean that they're going to incur a fine.
It means it could potentially be fined for
It
it.
just means that, if someone wants to work with me and go ahead as the zoning administrator, I think I've shown that once already with a fine that was levied on someone, and I cut the fine in half.
Right. Show good faith effort.
And good faith, they showed good faith effort, and that's fine. I get that. I get things. I'm not, I'm a person who lives in town. I understand what it takes to have things done. I'm not some robot that doesn't understand what's going on. Is that?
Yeah. I just want to make sure that it was clear that.
Yep.
He wasn't being fined.
Nobody's being fined right now.
$300 a day.
So on Mr. Kosas's comment, when necessary, That's kind of a couple of key words. So tonight under old business, in my opinion, adding the 3 items that we added to our agenda were necessary. One of them adding a budget meeting date for next week
Planning.
for planning was necessary. The ARPA funding was necessary. And getting the word out about the kennel, to me, was necessary. Now, if we want to live in the past because a board 30 years ago did something that we didn't like, or 10 years ago, or 3 years ago, or something that we did last year, then let's live in the past. But we're never going to move forward. We're always going to be in the past. And I, for one, don't want to live in the past. I want to keep moving forward. And I totally understand his point that something happened, blah, 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 whatever. But I think as a board, we've been up and up on everything that we've done.
Time to do.
I agree that a couple of things. One is when we use executive session, for the time that I've been on this board, I think when I first got on the board, I think there were a couple of times that, and no one was here except me back then. There were a couple of times that we were not using executive session appropriately, but we thought we were. It wasn't on purpose. It wasn't to hide things. But in the last year and a half, 2 years, we've had a lot of legal actions, and every time that I know of that we used executive session, I am almost certain we were required to do it.
Correct.
It wasn't just that we were using it. It was actually a requirement. But I do want to say something about the correspondence that we got from Mr. Kosis and his clarifying remarks. So I appreciate them, because what he identified there really is a best practice. I think
I agree.
There may be some misconception that we're abusing that, but I don't think this board is at all. But everything he itemized in there is a best practice. If we know what we're going to be talking about, it shouldn't just be under old business. It ought to be identified as to exactly what we're doing. And we ought to be giving the public some advance notice of it. And I think for the most part, we do that. And then when we talk about the things tonight that we talked about, I mean, absolutely. One of them was just scheduling. And one of them was a forewarning that in the budget meeting, we're going to be talking about ARPA also. So that was actually, we didn't do it tonight. We just talked about what we were going to do in the future. And I certainly no problem with that.
Can I just have 1 minute rebuttal?
No,
Jim,
you've already spoken. Thank you.
I just appreciate everything you guys have done.
Megan,
Well,
I don't want to get into a.
I would rather be extra. Well, just
Well, that's fine. That's fine. Let's give him a minute. That's fine.
First of all, I was not saying anything against you guys, anything about executive sessions. I was basically saying, moving forward, yes, Mike, I want to move forward. I think it's best that I don't have to look at an agenda or come in at 7 o'clock to just find out what's going to be discussed. I like to look at it on Tuesday. If nothing important is going to be there on Tuesday, I'm not going to attend the meeting. I have other things to do too. So I'm basically just saying out there, please do not try to add so many things to an agenda on the night of the meeting. There are many other meetings that can show up later on, or please have a special meeting if it's something that's important. That's all I'm saying. I think everything has been going great so far in this past year. I thank you very much and have a good night.
Thank you, Jim. And I didn't mean to, and sorry.
No, you're fine. No, you're fine. You were right. You were right,
Our
Bob.
public comment.
But you were right. Bob was right. Bob was right.
Right. I know.
We opened the can of worms.
I just wanted to make it clear that that what he itemized in that thing are best practices.
Oh, for sure. And I think.
But I also want to make it clear, just like you did, that we do adhere to those best practices.
We try.
Certainly try.
Best of ours.
There's certain things that pop up after a Tuesday agenda that need to be taken care of. And I for one am not, and I'm probably never going to change this. I'm not one for putting stuff off. If it pops up, deal with it and take care of it now. I've watched and been involved in years bringing back the past where they table everything for months and months and months and nothing ever gets done. And I'm not that kind of person and I never will be. It's bring it up and get it done.
Moving forward, do we have an executive session for personnel that we need to go into?
I don't have anything.
Don't
Nope.
believe so.
I think that
Okay,
was
so
on
we-
their tentative. Rebecca asked
okay.
me to put it on. Yeah.
All right. So in that case,
I move to adjourn.
can I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you,
Aye.
everybody. Have a good night.